What's up, everyone? Matt Vanacoro with UVI here, and I am really excited to check out OB Legacy with you. OB Legacy is a tribute to an era of synth sounds inspired by the legendary developer Tom Oberheim. There are 6 lush and massive sounding instruments and different interfaces with a variety of sounds that really embrace Tom Oberheim's maverick spirit as a synth developer. Let's dig in and check out some of the sounds. This first instrument I've got loaded up is UV1, and I've queued up a nice arpeggiation sound called Keys in Space. You can hear that it's really widespread and there's just a lot of movement going on in the sound, and that's very indicative of what we're about to check out with the rest of them. Let's take a look at a bass sound. So I'll open up bass and I'll jump on down to the Hoover bass. So nasty sounding. And something that you'll really appreciate is that you've got different attack and portamento characteristics, so you can slide between them. Or you can lift your finger and attack. There's a lot of flexibilities for designing your sounds within these synths. Now, let's jump to the phrasor category. This has some of my favorite sounds in this particular instrument. I'm going to open up the Creepy Express. Play some simple single notes, but listen to how much sound you can get from a single note. And with a little movement of the mod wheel, as you can hear, you can open up that filter and do a lot of different things. So I'm sure you can figure out why that one's called Creepy Express. It really sets the tone for you. Let's jump into another instrument. Now I'm hosting this right in UVI Workstation, so all I have to do is double click in the title bar here, and I can open up XP12. So now I've got a whole separate instrument interface. Now don't worry, everything looks a little different, but the flow and workflow between the instruments is very, very similar. So let's open up some animated patches here on XP12. I like the seal. This is one of my favorites. I just love sounds that have so much going for them, where you've got some static elements and some moving elements. And this really shows off the concept of the 2 oscillators of XP12 and OB Legacy. So I've got 2 oscillators going here. I can disable one. So oscillator in layer 1 is just giving me that sort of chirpiness. And then oscillator 2 in this second layer is what's giving me that darker based pad. So all these sounds have a lot to them, and they can interact and arpeggiate in different ways. It's really cool. Let's look at one of the leads and see how that works out. So I like this little funk fresh lead. And as you can hear, I've got some different aspects of velocity sensitivity. That allow for the filter to behave differently. So it's a really, really complex sound for a lead. Really digging it. Now, the last one in this, of course, I'm sure you want to hear some of those lush pads that the OB Legacy is going to be known for. So I'm just going to go ahead to the pad category and open it up. And in the pad category, I'll jump into Air Liquide. And if you're following along in the keyboard, you can see I'm really making those sounds with only a few notes. It's that big of an instrument. All right, speaking of instruments, let's jump into one of the other ones. So I'll take a look at M6K and load that up. Different look, but same workflow. Again, really easy to understand the way these synths go. Now with M6K, let's take a look at some animated sounds and see how crazy this one can get. M6K, I like to take a look at like an angel. It's a really beautiful sound. And even with a single note, you can hear a lot going on there. So we've got this arpeggiator working, and we've also got a step modulator working. That's what's working for you to give you all that motion. So you can get some really great patches there. So while I'm in that category, there's another one that I really like, and that's Magicity. So you don't even need to spread your fingers that far apart to create some real magic with OB Legacy. All right, let's jump into the next one. So after M6K, I think it's a good idea to check out UVXXX. I really like some of the bass and brass in this one, but we'll start out with the animated sounds again, just to stay consistent. So I'll jump into the gate ARP pad here. And as you saw, it's easy to enhance any of your sounds right there on the effects page. So simply open it up and pop on one of the awesome included effects to make that sound pop. So let's jump into the bass. There's some really cool growling nasty basses in here and some sequenced ones as well. So I like this, a nice little one finger sequence. It's amazing how much music you can make with just a couple of fingers. And obviously jumping into that mod wheel, again, nothing that you wouldn't really expect, but it's all pre-programmed for you. So you don't have to worry about, mapping the mod wheel. You can if you want to, but all of these patches are really cleverly designed for that sort of thing. And finally, let's check out some of the brass. With this one, we'll look at this Brass Panther. So it's a really cool pad with motion, and what I like about it is that you can use this if you're not trying to do some tempo sync stuff. The motion isn't that out front that it takes over and you feel the need to, synchronize it with everything. It's a really, really subtle motion that just gives it a little bit of life. So there are a lot of sounds that are sequences in themselves, but there are also a lot of sounds where the motion is secondary just to give it a little bigness in life, and that's a great example of one. So UVSR2 is up next. We've got some really, really great animated patches in this particular synth. So from here on UVSR2, let's go to animated and just check out Calm Down. So you can really do some drastic things with the mod wheel on that one. And as you can hear, the oscillators are separated quite a bit in this one. So the two layers have got some really different sounds. So again, it feels like a whole sequence all in and of itself, which is really cool. So Also, let's go in that animated and check out Light Fair. This is another one that I like a lot. One of the reasons I like this one so much is that the elements are separate from each other. And by that, I mean you've got a step sequencer, but you also got a step modulator. So this arpeggiator is totally separate from the modulator. So the arpeggiator itself, you'll hear, if I turn that off, and the step modulator is what's doing that cool motion even without the sequencer going, or without the arpeggiator going. And you can adjust the speed of both. They can be independent of each other, and that's what makes these sounds so much bigger. All right, so from there, let's jump into just a normal sound for this, so something without quite so much motion. Let's check out the string synth stuff. And within there, I like Dark Wheel Door. So there's some really cool, interesting, dark sounds for you to work with in this synth. It's not all about motion and arpeggiation. 612 is the last instrument included in this collection. And there it is. So 612's got some great sounds. The first patch I want to check out is a bell synth. It's called Very Clear. I love this sound. Really, really beautiful sounds, really, really fun to work with. There's a keyboard patch too that I really like called Frantic Keys. And with this one, it's a great demonstration of the velocity triggering and what you can do with that. So when you get in there and you're designing your sounds, if you want to open the filter up a little bit based on the velocity, you can do that. If I play softly, you'll hear a very restrictive filter, and the harder I play, the more it opens up. So that's a great option for you when you're designing your sounds. One of the last ones we can check out on this is the string machine type stuff. So we'll look at a string machine pad. And in this particular patch, you can use the mod wheel to adjust a couple of things at once. Something else I love to do. I just love how easy it is to quickly make some massive adjustments. Of course, if I wanted to, I could go ahead and right-click on just about anything in the interface. That's just sort of the nature of UVI Workstation. But many of these instruments have the ability to just simply click on the mod wheel and say, okay, control vibrato with it, or control tremolo, or control filter. So that's OB Legacy. It's an amazing collection of synths. It's inspired by a really cool era in synth design and one of the sort of rogue mavericks of synth design. It's a really enjoyable collection with a lot of really great sounds. I hope you liked checking it out.